Begin on Davav, about 8 lines in from the Amud, where it says Mafrishin Kohen Gadol. Go back to the Mishnah. The Gemara continues the discussion when we get to this halacha that we separate the Kohen Gadol 7 days before Yom Kippur. Zok the Gemara, Lama Mafrishin. Why do we separate the Kohen Gadol 7 days? So the Gemara asks, Lama Mafrishin? Now after 6 blat discussing this, or 4 blat, 5 blat discussing this, now you ask this question of why we separate the Kohen Gadol. We already explained. According to Rabbi Yochanan, his opinion that you learn it out from the Shivas Yemei Miluim. Or according to Rish Lakish, we learn it out from Sinai, that Moshe Rabbeinu separated. Answers the Gemara, Hachikama. This is what was meant to ask. Mi beisai lama pirish. Why does he have to separate from his house, which means from his wife? Why does the Kohen Gadol have to go into the Lishkas Palhedrin, and there he has to be separated from his wife? He's not allowed to have any relations with her. Why can't he bring his wife with him in Lishkas Palhedrin? And Rashi here says, this Lishkas Palhedrin must have been a place that had no Kedusha in it. Because in the Azara, in a place that has Kedusha, you're not allowed to sit. And the Kohen was there for 7 days. He definitely wasn't standing there for 7 days. So he's allowed to sit there, and maybe he's allowed to bring his wife with him. So yeah, maybe he has to separate and prepare for Yom Kippur, but why can't he bring his wife with him? That was our question now. So the Gemara says, Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira says, Shema timtza ishtoi safik nida v'yavaya leha. Maybe his wife will be a safik nida, and he'll have relations with her, and then what happens? A person that's bayal and nida becomes tummy, and he won't be able to do the Aveda in the Beis HaMikdash. So the Gemara asks on this lashon that Yehuda ben Beseira said, Otu b'reshi yaskinan. Are we talking about a rasha? That his wife might be in a doubt if she's a nida or not. In other words, she's in a time in the month or in a time period where there's a suffix if she's a nida or not, and still he's having relations with her. That's what you're concerned about? Elo, so the Gemara changes it. No, that's not our concern. Shema yovai alishtai. Maybe he'll have relations with his wife. And v'timtza safik nida. And then later it'll come out that she was a suffix. It's a suffix if she was a nida when he had relations with her or not. And now, because he'll be a suffix if he was boil and nida or not, and it'll be tummy. Okay, so later, in other words, she'll become a nida, and now the suffix will be whether when he had relations with her, was she tummy or not, and a boil nida becomes tummy as well for 7 days. So that's why he can't be together with his wife for 7 days. The Rabbanan repeated what Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira said in front of Rav Chisda. And they said, Keman, according to who did Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira say this? Rabbi Akiva. This follows the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. The Omar, Rabbi Akiva said, Nida mitama es boyala. A nida, we're talking about this case where a woman is found to be a nida after she had relations with her husband. So Rabbi Akiva says, even though she's only found to be a nida afterwards, but I now say that it goes retroactively, and we are concerned that maybe when they had relations, she was a nida, and therefore the husband also becomes tummy, because he was boyal and nida. If we will follow the opinion of Rabbanon, ha'amri, the Rabbanon say, ein nida metame es boyala. A nida is not metame her husband. If she's found to be a nida afterwards, she finds blood and she finds to be a nida afterwards, she's not metame the one that was her husband, lamafreya, before that they had relations. So that's what the Rabbanan said in front of Rav Chisda. Amalu Rav Chisda responded and said, no, not necessarily. It depends when she discovered the fact that it's blood and that she's a nida. Afila taimru Rabbanan. I can say that what the Gemara is, what the Rav Yehuda ben Beseira is saying here, follows even the opinion of the Rabbanan. Why? At kan le pligi Rabbanan ale the Rabbi Akiva. When did Rabbanan argue on Rabbi Akiva whether the husband would become a nida retroactively, a boil nida, that we're concerned that he was boil a nida, and therefore he becomes pasul, tummy that is, ella ba'acher, only if it was acher, meaning a later period. It was she looked to see if there's blood, and she found blood only much later. Now then, there's the question: do I say that retroactively she becomes nida or not? Over here, in such a case, is a machlokes of Rabbi Akiva and Rabbanan. Aval bechad acher. But if it's only once after, meaning it's pretty much right after she had relations with her husband, and then she checked to see if there's blood, and she discovered blood, Maidule, then the Rabbanan will agree to Rabbi Akiva that the boil nida will become tummy, even lemafreya. So Rashi here explains, what does this mean, acher and acher acher? What's the shear? Where do we put the shear of acher and acher acher? So Rashi says acher means the shear that it takes for a woman to go out of her bed and to inspect herself. That's called acher. It's not immediately after, but that's called acher, a bit after, a few minutes after. Over there, in that case, if she finds blood, everybody would agree that the Bayal Nida becomes Tameh, because it could be that there was blood already before. But if it's acher, if it's after that time period, of that few minutes that it takes for her to go out of her bed and inspect herself, that's called acher, that's already a later time period. And over there was the machlokes between Rabbi Akiva and the Rabbanon, whether the husband becomes Tameh L'Mafreya or not. So over here, when we're mafresh the Kohen Gadol, it could be l'kul alma, because we're concerned that she'll inspect herself close enough and find that she was in nida, and the husband will become Tameh L'Mafreya. Amar Rab Zera. Now the Gemara, based on this pshat over here, that the reason why a husband, the Kohen Gadol, has to separate from his wife is because we're concerned that he'll be a bayal nida. So from this, Rab Zera teaches another halacha. So Rab Zera said, Shma mina, from here we could learn, bayal nida einoi kinida. The halacha of a person that was bayal nida and he becomes tameh for 7 days, but still he's not exactly the same like the nida herself. The tumah is not the same like the nida itself, or the tvila actually is not the same as the nida herself, as the Gemara now explains. The toivel bayayim, the bayal nida that becomes tameh for 7 days, he can go to the mikveh by daytime on the 7th day, and not like the nida herself. When does the nida go to the mikveh? After 7 days at night. The bayal nida, however, can go to the mikveh by daytime on the 7th day. And the Gemara explains the raya. If you're going to say that a bayal nida becomes tameh like the nida, and he also has to toivel at night like the nida, so what's going to happen over here with this kohen? You separate this kohen for 7 days, and he's on the 7th day, he has to wait to go to the mikveh only at night, so eimus tovel. When is he going to go to the mikveh? Balelia, the night of Yom Kippur, he's going to go to the mikveh. L'machar heichi avad aveda. If he's going to the mikveh at night, how could he do the aveda tomorrow? V'haboi harav shemesh. After you go to the mikveh, you have to wait the next day for the sun to come down the next day in order to do the aveda. So the whole entire next day, he still can't do the aveda. Elolav shmami no. So we have to say, from here we see that bayal nida ain't a kinida. A bayal nida is not like a nida. On the 7th day, Erev Yom Kippur, we separate him for 7 days, and then on the 7th day, Erev Yom Kippur, he goes to the mikveh, and then he can do the aveda on the next day, Yom Kippur. That's what Rab Zera said. Rav Shimi min nerdo yomar.
Arguing on Rabbi Akiva and Rabbanan?
No. Why is he arguing? He's not arguing because because we separated him for 7 days, right? So the last time he was together with his wife was 7 days before. And from then, we're concerned that he might have been bayal nida. So then we have to wait from when he's separated, from the beginning until the end. 7 days we're waiting, and then on the 7th day he has to tovel. But the question is he toveling by day or by night? If he's toveling by night, then it's a big problem. Can't do the aveda for the whole next day. If he's toveling by day, then by night he's already tahir completely and he can do the aveda. Rav Shimi min Nerda Yoma. Rav Shimi of Nerda says, no, I can tell you the pshat is different. Afilu teime bayal nida kenida. I can say that a bayal nida is going to be tameh for 7 days and only waits to go to the mikveh by night. And so what does it mean over here that we separate 7 days? The mafreshinan le shah acha samach l'shkiyas achama. That really we separate him 1 hour before 7 days before. In other words, really you're separating him 7 days plus an hour before, in order that he should be able to go to the mikveh an hour before Shkia on Erev Yom Kippur, and then there will be a Harav Shemesh, and the sun comes down, he'll be able to do the Aveda on Yom Kippur. So even though in the Mishnah it said 7 days, the Mishnah means 7 full days, plus an hour before, in order to be able to go to the mikveh, and then to have the...
Minus an hour.
No, plus an hour. Plus an hour from a day before, to be able to go to the mikveh, to be able to do the Aveda. That's the pshat in the Mishnah over here. Okay, so now the Gemara is going to ask a few questions, and eventually the Gemara is going to refute the opinion of Rav Shimi that says that the tumah of a bayal nida requires to go to the mikveh at night, just like the nida herself. So the Gemara asks questions. Meisvei, we learned in the Braisa, kol chayav tfilis. All the different people that are tameh, that have to tovel, tfilasam bayayim. Their tefillah is daytime. Nida v'yeldes tfilasim balayla. Besides a nida and a yeledes, by a nida, there's psukim that clearly says that it has to be by night, and by a yeledes also is compared to a nida in the pasuk. Their tefillah is by night. Those are the only two exceptions that it says over here in this brayse. Nida tfilasim balayla. So nida in. So the brayse is saying that nida is an exception that the tefillah is by night, but bayil nida loy. A bayil nida that's tummy 7 days, the tefillah is not by night. So the Gemara answers, no, it's not a raya from this. But I say, nida v'chol da'asi miribuya. A nida and anything else that's included in the tum of a nida, that's connected to the tum of a nida, is also by night, because you learn it out from a pasuk that compares him to a nida herself. So therefore, the brayse means to include the nida and the bayal nida as well. Meisa, the Gemara asks from another brayse that says, balkeri kemaga sheretz. We compare the tumah of a balkeri to a person that touched a sheretz. Boil nida, a person that was boil nida, we compare ketmei meis, like a person that's a tmei meis. Now, regarding what are we comparing these? Regarding what are we comparing a balkeri to a magesheretz, and regarding what are we comparing a boil nida ketmei meis? My love, don't you think the pshat over here is l'tvila, regarding the fact that a balkeri goes to the mikveh on that day, when just like a person that touched the sheret. You go to the mikveh on that day, you go to the mikveh right away, and then you wait until at night. And by boil nida, you compare it to a tmei meis. What's the halacha by a tmei meis? A tmei meis is tamei 7 days, but when does a tmei meis go to the mikveh? By daytime, on the 7th day, not by night. So when we're comparing a boil nida to a tmei meis, it means that you go to the mikveh by day, not like the nida herself. Says the Gemara loy, it's not comparing it regarding the tefillah. Litum asan, it's comparing it regarding the tumah. That the tumah of a balkeri is 1 day, you go to the mikveh immediately, and the tumah of a bayal nida is 7 days, like a tmei meis, but you go to the mikveh by night. It's not compared to a tmei meis regarding when you go to the mikveh. You could still say that it's compared to a nida that you go to the mikveh at night. Fragt the Gemara, to compare regarding the tumah, tumasan behed yiksiv behu. Regarding the tumah itself, it says clearly in the pasuk that the tumah of a bayal nida lasts 7 days, and the tumah of a balkeri is 1 day. That says clearly in the pasuk. Hi tumas shiva ksiv bei. By the tumah of a bayal nida, it clearly says by the tumah of a mace, that is. It says clearly in the Torah that the tumah is 7 days. And v'hai tumas shiva ksiv bei. And by the tumah of a bayal nida, it also clearly says, Rashi here, and it brings the pasuk v'tihini dasa olav tumah shivas yamim, and it goes also on the bayal nida that the tumah is 7 days. So what do you have to compare it to tmei meis regarding this? Elolav. So we go back to what we said before, litfilasan. The brayse here is comparing a bayal nida to a tmei meis regarding the tefillah, and it's coming to teach you that the tefillah is by daytime. So this is the question of Shimi that said that a bayal nida tevels at night like a nida. Here in the brayse it says that the tefillah is by day. Answers the Gemara, loy. It's not a question. La'olam litumasan. Really, the brayse here is comparing the balkeri to the magasheretz and the bayal nida to a tmei meis regarding the tumah, not regarding the tefillah. I asked the question that there's no chiddush here. You're right, there's no chiddush. But seife, it's the main chiddush of this brayse is what it says in the seife. What does it say in the seife? Ella shechamor mimeno. Even though we're comparing a bayal nida to the tumah of a tmei meis, but nevertheless there's a stringency in the bayal nida. What is that stringency? That bayal nida shemitame mishkov umeishav. Bayal nida, he's going to be metame anything that he lies on, anything that he sits on, which means even if you don't touch something, let's say there's 10 mattresses, and you lie on the top mattress, because you're putting your weight on it, even the bottom mattress is going to become tameh. That's the tumah of a bayal nida, and you're going to be metamed betumah kala. Whatever you will touch or whatever you lie on, you put your weight on, even if you don't touch it, you metamed it to be a rishon l'tumah, l'tameh oichlin amashkin. Then that will make food and drink tameh, which is not the case by a tmei meis. By a tmei meis, only if the tmei meis touches something does it become tameh. Not if you lie in it or sit on it and you don't touch it, it does not become tameh. So this was the main chiddush of the brayse here, or this is really the only chiddush of the brayse, to teach me the stringency that a bayal nida has more than a tmei meis. Sagt the Gemara weiter, Toshema, but here the Gemara brings a clear brayse that goes against what Rav Shimi said. The Tanya Rab Chia, Hazav, V'Hazave, V'Amitzaire, V'Amitzairas, Ubayal Nida, Tmei Meis, all of these different Tmeim, Tfilasam Bayayim. Their tefillah is by daytime. So it clearly includes Bayal Nida together with all the others that their tefillah is daytime. Nida v'yeldis tfilas balayla. A nida and a yeldis, their tefillah is at night. To Yufte, this refutes what Rav Shimi said. Now the Gemara goes back to the Kohen Gadol that separated on Yom Kippur. Frek the Gemara, v'atsha atam afrishoy mitumas beisoy. So what are we doing here? We're separating him from his wife 7 days. We're putting him in the room, in the Beis HaMikdash, Lishkas Parhedrin. So why are we only concerned about a tumah that might come from a nida? Hafrishayu mitumas hameis. You should also separate him from any tumah that might come from a mace. Maybe a person that's coming to visit him will die right over there in the room with him, and then in the same room he'll become tummy from this person. So we should not allow anybody to enter in this room. He should be secluded for 7 days. No, people came over there that to teach him, to be mechanachim. We said before that to teach him how to do the Aveda. He wasn't secluded. People could come inside the room. So why aren't we afraid that someone's going to die there? Amar Rav Tachlifa, so the Gemara gives 2 answers. Amar Rav Tachlifa, Avua de Rav Huna, Mishmei de Rave, Zoyse Meres. This teaches you that Tumas Hameis Hutrei Batzibur. Even if he would become Tmei Meis, there's no issue. He could still do the Aveda of Yom Kippur in the Beis HaMikdash. Why? Because it's Tuma Hutra Betzibur, and specifically Tumas Meis. This heter of Tuma Hutra Betzibur, where did we learn this out from? We learned it in Masechta Pesachim regarding a carbon Pesach. Over there it says that one person, if he's Tameh, cannot bring the carbon Pesach. But if the whole Tzibur is Tameh, or most of the Yidden are Tameh, they could bring the carbon Pesach. And that's only regarding a Tmei Meis. A Tmei Meis is Hutra B'Tzibur, and therefore the Aveda of Yom Kippur is all Karbanis Tzibur. Even the Karbanis that the Kayin himself is bringing for his own kapara, it's all considered to be part of the Karbanis Tzibur on this day, and therefore it's all the Aveda of Yom Kippur he can do, even if he would be Tmei Meis. That's the one answer.
If the tzibur is Tom is only called mace.
Only Tumah Mace, correct. Not any other Tumah, right. No, but the Tumah Hutra B'Tzibur means to bring the Karbanis Tzibur. By the Karban Pesach, most of Klal Yisrael has to be Tameh in order to be able to bring it. But when it's a Karban Tzibur, over here, the Yom Kippur, it's Karbanis Tzibur. So over here, it's the Kohen Gadol is allowed to bring the Karbanis Tzibur even if he's Tameh. Ravina says, even if you're going to say that it's not hutra, meaning that it's duchuya, b'di'evet. If you have no other option, so then you'll use a kohen gadol that's tameh. But really, you have to make all the effort possible that it should not become tameh. So even if you're going to say that over here, you have to be careful that it should not become a tmei meis. We're not concerned about anybody visiting him and dying while they're visiting him. Lo shchiche, tumas hameis lo shchiche. It's something which is not common to happen. Tumas beisoy shchiche. If a person is allowed to be together with his wife, that she might be boil and nida, so that's something in the cycle of a woman that's much more possible to happen, that he should become tameh. So therefore over there they were concerned. So the Gemara now starts the sugya of this machlokes that we just brought up about tumas meis and whether it's hutra b'tzibur, hutra or tchuya. We had the sugya also in Masechta Pesachim, and the Gemara over here also is going to go through a lot of the similar things that we learned over there. Sagt the Gemara itma, so we learned this machlokes tumas hameis regarding a person that's a tmei meis. Rav Nachman Amar hutra hi b'tzibur. It's totally permitted to be done regarding karbanis tzibur. No issues. You don't even have to make any effort to find a kohen that's tahir. Sheishes Amar Rav Sheishes says duchuya hi b'tzibur. It's pushed off if you have no other option. If there is no other kohen available, so then we push off and we take this kohen that's tameh. But if you have another option of a kohen that's tahir, you have to use a kohen that's tahir. So the Gemara now explains exactly in what case their machlokes is. If that Beisav, right, there was the Mishmaris in the Beis HaMikdash, and every day there was another family, another Beisav that did the Aveda. So if in that family that has the Aveda to do today in the Beis HaMikdash, there are Kainim that are Tameh, and there are Kainim that are Tahir, Kula Amalei Pligi, the Tahirin Avdi, Tmein Lo Yavdi, that the Tahirin are the ones that should do the Aveda, and the Tmein should not. Even the one that says that it's totally Hutra B'Tzibur, but if you have Kainim that are Tahirin, they have to do the Aveda. Ki pligi, when's the machlokes lahadure ulasuye tohirin mi beis avachrine? Do you have to make the effort to bring a kayin which is tahir from another family that it's not their time to do the aveda today? If the entire family doing the aveda today became tameh, that's when there's the machlokes. Rav Nachman says hetiri betzibur v'loy madrinon, that because it's hutra, so therefore you only have to look at this family, and if even all of them are tameh, you don't have to go and bring from another family to do the aveda. That it's only pushed off. which means if you have no other choice. But if you can go and find from another family, you should bring from another family to do the Aveda. That's one version of explaining this machlokes between Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes. Ikke da Amri, but others said that no, Hutri b'tzibur actually goes even further than this. Afile heiche de ikit ha'hirin utmeim ba'hu beisav. Even if right over here in this family that's doing the Aveda today, there are kainim that are tahirin and there are kainim that are tmein. Still pligi, there's the machlokes between Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes. Rav Nachman pligi. Rav Nachman argues va'amar, and he says of the nami tmein, that even tmein could do the Aveda, even though in this same beisav you can take the hayrin, that it doesn't matter. You can even take tmein as well. The chol tumas meis b'tzibur rachmana sharya. Any tumas meis regarding a carbon tzibur, the Torah says it's totally mutter. You don't have to make any effort to find anybody else. That's the second version of Rav Nachman's opinion. Now, we'll learn in Mitzvah Shem is going into this whole machlokes, different rayas regarding this inyan.